The 2 train pulled into the Wall Street station at 8:01 a.m. and the doors opened. Eli Butler forced his way through the Brooklyn-bound, squeezing himself out onto the platform. For 6 steps, he walked behind a woman looking down at her phone, apparently oblivious to the human traffic patterns she was disrupting. He saw a gap and made his move. He passed the sluggish woman, then darted left and right around the other meanderers. He fell in behind a smartly dressed man, Wall Street type, who moved swiftly and blazed a path through the crowd. Eli drafted him, taking advantage of the space he carved out, as they both maneuvered in a synchronized zigzag pattern. Eli tried to will the sweat from beading up on his forehead. The perspiration was caused partly from the exertion, and partly from what his boss would say when he was late for the 3rd time this week. The daily hour-long trip from 242nd Street on the 1 train stayed on schedule. The delay arose when transferring to the 2 train at Chambers Street. Eli repeated flimsy excuses to himself as he climbed the stairs and emerged into the cacophony of the city street. Despite his tardiness, he paused for a moment and took a deep, meditative breath. Eli loved the smell of New York City in the morning. It was a mixture of car fumes, asphalt, exhaust from the various restaurants' kitchens, and, strangely enough, urine. He was not sure if he imagined the urine smell, but he distinctly detected it nonetheless. The smell of the city street always calmed him, even as he stressfully hurried toward an inevitable ass-chewing. It never failed to give him pause. It made him consider that there is a bigger picture, a larger world to be experienced. He jogged the last 100 yards to the corner of Wall Street and Water Street. He breezed into the lobby of 95 Wall Street and called the elevator. The building seemed eerily empty at 8:09 a.m., a marked difference from the usual chaos of 7:55. The elevator arrived and Eli rode it alone to the 14th floor. The doors opened to a brightly lit vestibule. Frosted glass obscured the busy operation bustling behind the semi-opaque inner doors. Lettering was etched in the large glass panels. IPFG Financial, Corporate Security Headquarters. Eli was truly appreciative to have his job and the hundreds of hours of training that came along with it. He knew, with only a high school diploma under his belt, it was better than many of his other options. Plus, as a video surveillance specialist, monitoring over 300 IPFG branches and facilities, Eli had season tickets to what he routinely called the shit show. Robberies, car crashes, domestic flights, and even the occasional workplace romantic encounter. He was operating the video camera controls during an event 1 year prior in which an irate former IPFG employee, Thomas Shegren, walked into a Tulsa satellite office with an AR-15. The guy's intention was to kill his former boss, VP of Sales Steve Winters, but he never got the chance. Serendipitously, Winters had called in sick that day. The word was that he was nursing a hangover. A couple of witnesses later reported seeing him doing an uncounted number of brightly colored shots at a 20-year high school reunion the night before. In the end, Shegren ended up firing a few rounds into Winters' desk and computer screen, but otherwise left the employees unharmed. After failing to locate his target, he fled the building only to be apprehended a few minutes later, due in part to information provided by Eli Butler. Eli received an award from the company and was later invited to a banquet held at a Washington, D.C. hotel, but he could not afford to make the trip. He was secretly proud of the recognition, even though he disparaged the whole premise whenever it was mentioned by his co-workers. For Eli, there was a sharp distinction between being appreciative and being satisfied. Eli wanted real action, to be physically involved, not looking on like some perverted voyeur. He had been trying for several years to land a job with the New York City Police Department, but kept falling short for one reason or another. On his latest try, he passed the written exam, the physical agility, and the polygraph, but was rejected after the psychological test. He was not sure exactly why he failed. They didn't tell him specifically. He did not feel crazy. But then again, he thought at the time, you would have to be relatively sane to be aware that you weren't.